When frost lies thick on Egerdon and every pole begins to freeze, from Muckleford to Nettlecombe and hills are hung with sparkling trees, and then to Loder's we must go before the world is drowned with snow. So here, my dear, and there, my dear, the air is singing love tonight. And you, my dear, and you, my dear, are trudging home in winter light. When mists fall low on Egerdon and morning reddens sea and sky, from Binny Cross to Powerstock, the flocks of style and starlings fly, and then as evening bids farewell, we take the rutted road to Bell. So up, my dear, and down, my dear, the house is bringing love tonight. And you, my dear, and you, my dear, are trudging home in winter bright. When stars shine clear in Egerdon and field and fold are hushed with sleep. From Underwood to Asker's Well, the lanterns burn for wandering sheep. And so for us those lanterns burn, and one by one we shall return. So swing, my dear, and chime, my dear, the tower is ringing love tonight. And you, my dear, and you, my dear, are trudging home in winter bright. So here, my dear, and there, my dear, the air is singing love tonight. And you, my dear, and you, my dear, are trudging home in winter light. Well, Merry Christmas, everybody. That was a beautiful poem by a Gloucestershire poet called John Drinkwater, set to music by my good friend Johnny Coppin, and it's one of the nicest ones. And although he's Gloucester poet, of course, all the references there are to being in Dorset, in fact not far from Bridport, Loaders, where John Drinkwater did his first job as a primary school teacher all those years ago. Anyway, that's always been one of my favourites, so I hope you enjoyed that. Nice to see you all. There's a very special reason for doing this open gig. I hope you're all going to enjoy it. Some old songs, some new songs, and but I'll tell you what the main theme is going to be in a minute. Yep, so this is an old ragtime blues song written by Porter Granger, and it ain't nobody's business what I do. Since you left me, baby, I'm out all night without you to say that everything's alright. You know it ain't nobody's business what I do. If I get drunk, I'm sitting all alone, got blues in my head, so I won't be home. You know it ain't nobody's business what I do. But if there's no dice or poker, I'm drinking in the bar. If the heels on both my shoes went down, well baby, that's because you know it ain't nobody's business what I do. I'll have breakfast at midnight till I find somebody new. You know it ain't nobody's business what I do. Because since you left me, baby, I'm out all night without you to say everything's alright. You know it ain't nobody's business what I do. Ain't nobody's business what I do. That's a lovely old song, I like that. Anyway, so this is an open gig, as you know. Your generous donations gratefully received, and half of the money raised is going to support a young friend of mine, who's Morgan Bain, who's going off to Kenya next year to be working in schools in his gap year, as it were, so as someone who has often been described as having a gap life, I feel that he deserves a bit of support. So basically he's going off, and his idea, he's a very fine young guitarist and developing all the time, and what he wants to do is to teach guitar in the evening. So I've arranged with those lovely people at John Horsby, John Hornby Skews are going to give me a couple of the Viator guitars at cost price, which would be rather nice because they're small, portable, and so on, and the ideal thing to take out there. So thank you, JHS, and so on. I think that's absolutely marvellous. Okay, a bit more about Morgan later on. Nice, isn't it? This is the Paris Swing mandolin I picked up in an auction 2 years ago, which it was a keeper. Well, obviously it's a keeper. I've kept it, and I'd never heard of them before, and then I discovered afterwards that several friends of mine have this same model, which is obviously an F-style model, but those French lovely people have put an elliptical sound hole on it. So this is a company that went out of business several years ago. But there are a few of them around, and I certainly got it for a sensible price. But I love this mandolin. It's really, really nice to play, and it's got a good sort of sound. Anyway, Dave Pegg, it appears that he's got one. Matt Davis has also got one, and Simon Loke's got one. So I'm in good company. And here's a Bruce Hornsby song. Way out east on the docks, everyone sees the long day through. What would I do without the nights and the phone and the chance just to talk to you? What would I do now, 1,000 miles away? What I wouldn't give for only one night, little relief its sight someday when times are tight. When a day goes down on the water town, and the sun sings low all around, that's when I know I need you now. You're what I miss, every little kiss. Everybody hears a number, not a name, but I guess that's alright with me. As I sit alone after a long day, in the absence of company, oh, I let my mind wander, 1,000 miles away. What I wouldn't give for only one night, little relief inside someday when times were tight. When the sun goes down on the water town, or when the sun sings slow all around, that's when I know that I need you now. You're what I miss, every little kiss, every Felix Hornsby, Every Little Kiss, and the Paris Swing Mandolin. So on one of the earlier live shows, I dug out a beautiful old traditional song called The Myrtle Tree, sometimes known as Flash Company. And like most people exactly of my age, I think we probably all learnt the song from one of the most definitive versions by June Tabor and Martin Simpson. Is particularly a beautiful version. But years ago I was helping to produce an album for the Matthews Wilson Doonan Band up in, I can't remember where it was, Rochdale or somewhere like that. Cargo Studios seems to ring a bell. And they came up with a lovely version of this song. So apart from The Myrtle Tree, which I sang about 3 or 4 shows back, this is reverting to the lyrics pretty much as both the Matthews, Wilson and Doonan version goes, and indeed the June Tabor version. And it's always been it's a beautiful song with a lovely melody. Old songs. Once I loved a young girl as I loved my life. I thought in my heart I would make her my wife, with the white cotton stockings and her high ankle shoes. And she wears a yellow handkerchief wherever she goes. So take this yellow handkerchief in remembrance of me, and wear it around your neck, my love, in Flash Company. Flash Company, baby boys, like a great many more. If it hadn't have been for Flash Company, I'd never have been so poor. Fiddling and dancing were all my delight, but the keeping of Flash Company has ruined me quite. Has ruined me quite, me boys, like a great many more. And if it hadn't have been for Flash Company, I'd never have been so poor. So take this yellow handkerchief in remembrance of me, and wear it around your neck, me boys, in Flash Company. Flash Company, me boys, like a great many more. And if it hadn't have been for Flash Company, I'd never been so poor. Once I had the colour as red as the rose, now I'm as pale as the lily that grows, like a flower in the garden. All my colour is gone. Do you see what I have come to for love in this one? So take this yellow handkerchief in remembrance of me, and wear it around your neck, me boys, in Flash Company. Flash Company, me boys, like a great many more. And if it hadn't have been for Flash Company, I'd never have been so poor. Flash Company. So, yeah, the Gibson. Yeah, I've never been a great fan of Gibson acoustics in general, I have to say, but I'm deeply indebted to Mike Selly for the loan of this one, which is an LG, a lady's guitar, very small. Slightly too small for me, really, but it's got such a focused sound. So this is the inevitable Blind Willie Johnson. Cannot Keep From Crying, incorporated together with a little tune of mine called Mr. Mays, which is dedicated, of course, to Ralph McTell. From crying sometimes, cannot keep from crying sometimes, 'cause my heart's full of sorrow and my eyes they're full of tears. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. The 7 sheep has left me, they get on a little while, soon it would be all over and I journey with a smile. But my thoughts as I get older, I dream of what I told her. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. I cannot keep from crying sometimes, 'cause my heart's full of sorrow and my eyes they're full of tears. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. The 7 sheep has left me to get on a little while, soon it would be all over and I journey with a smile. But my thoughts as I get older, I dream of what I told her. I'll have to keep from crying sometimes. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. Cannot keep from crying sometimes, 'cause my heart's full of sorrow and my eyes they're full of tears. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. From crying sometimes. I cannot keep from crying sometimes, 'cause my heart's full of sorrow and my eyes they're full of tears. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. Cannot keep from crying. Anyway, part of the structure of this gig is that I'm giving half of the donations to a young man called Morgan Bain, who is going off to Kenya next year to work in schools, and he's a very, very good, very accomplished young guitar player, and he's already teaching other kids, and so he basically wants to teach kids to play guitar in the evening, for which he needs a couple of small portable guitars. So and I'd lent him my vintage Vieta, and he loved it. So I've had a word with those lovely people at John Hornby Skews, and they're giving me a couple of Vietas at cost price, which is really nice of them. These are the little Paul Brett Travel parlour guitars, which I think are excellent little guitars. And here, folks, is a picture of one. And so basically, yeah, 50% of your generous donations will be going to Morgan. We'll get those 2 guitars, and then anything that's left over from that will go into his general fund for doing it. So yeah, he's a good lad. I never did, because I didn't have a gap year, because I never had no fancy education. I never went to university or anything like that. And in any case, I've had a gap life. So you know. But my sisters both did voluntary service overseas when they were nippers, as it were. So yeah, I'm thoroughly applaud young Morgan for doing this and wish him the best of luck. So that's it really. Here's a bit of the kind of thing that he does. Thanks, Morgan. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Normally I would stay seasonal, and I would almost invariably do a Steve Ashley song called Fire and Wine, which is probably one of the most seasonal songs I know. However, just for a change, I don't often bring this one out. Also by Steve Ashley, a very fine singer-songwriter, and I particularly love this song. But I was just reminding myself of it the other day, and I just did another of those things where for some reason I started playing it in waltz time, and it seems to work. So rough with the smooth. What a summer we've had. The weather's been bad. It looks like we're in for some more. It's good for my peace, it's bad for my knees, and Lord, they do get sore. too. When you're 72, there's not much to do, but just take the rough with the smooth. Arthritis moved in under my skin, and he treats every joint like his own. It's down comes the rain, he digs in the pain, it's right down to the bone. He makes me to stumble, he makes me to crumble, till I'm humble right down to my shoes. When he calls upon you, there's not much to do, but just take the rough with the smooth. Now my daughter's been good, she's done all that she could to keep me from ending up here. Well, she said if I'd care, I could move it with her, but of course I said no fear. I don't want no charity, no wisdom or flattery. Pride is the last thing to lose. I'd far rather stay here out of the way and just take the rough with the smooth. Now the time's getting on, it's time I was gone back to my home from home. If I had any more, I'd be out on the floor. Christ knows where I'd run. Forgive an old stager, a little out of age. Old age must be given its due. When it calls upon you, there's not much to do, but just take the rough with the smooth. And you do. Take the rough with the smooth. Yes, you do. Take the rough with the smooth. Yes, you do. Take the rough with the smooth. I thought I heard the old man say. Steve Ashley's beautiful song, Rough with the Smooth. Yep, I'm right in there. Another 8 years or so. So again, another of those little tales. Those of you who are devotees of Steven Spielberg's Jaws, Plastic Sharks Are Us, it didn't really do it for me, and the hype was kind of bollocks. So I didn't watch it for years and years. But however, there is one scene which I do love, and it's as they're all prepping the old boat to go out and actually try and sort of raise this shark, as it were, and they have the hoary old sea dog there, Robert Shaw, and there's this lovely little bit as they're sort of chatting and getting stuff together where he hums and sings very quietly to a farewell and adieu to your Spanish lady, farewell and adieu to your ladies of Spain. And it's that good old song, We'll Rant and We'll Roar, Spanish Ladies, which is in the English Book of Penguin Folk Songs, Penguin Book of English Folk Songs, yes, give an old joker home. And so there's a story around that. I have absolutely no idea whether it's true. I'd love to think that it's true, but it is said that, whilst they're messing around and practicing, Shaw, who was Irish anyway, it just started, mumbling the song quietly to himself, and apparently he knew a lot of folk songs and things. And Spielberg says, "What's that? What's that you're singing there, Robert?" And it's just an old song, and let's keep that in. So I have no idea whether that's the truth. Maybe one day we'll be lucky enough to meet Spielberg and find out. I always was a bit of a Robert Shaw fan. I used to watch, which one was it? The Buccaneer I used to watch when I was a kid. Used to love that one. When sailing galleons were more plentiful, and there was no CGI, so the boats were all absolutely real and all the rest of it. Anyway, but this is your opportunity now at home in front of your roaring fires with your telly on or your computer on to drag out the Baileys and have a bit of a sing. Adieu to you Spanish ladies, farewell and adieu to your ladies of Spain. For we've received orders to sail for old England. We hope it is your time to see you again. We'll rant and we'll roar like true British sailors. We'll rant and we'll roar all on the salt sea, until we strike soundings in the Channel of old England. From Ushant to Scilly is 35 leagues. We hove our ship to with the wind from southwest, boys. We hove our ship to deep soundings today. 45 fathoms with a white sandy bottom. We squared our main yard and up Channel it made. We'll rant and we'll roar like true British sailors. We'll rant and we'll roar all on the salt sea, until we strike soundings in the Channel of old England. From Ushant to Scilly is 35 leagues. While the first land we sighted was called the Dogman, next ran out of Plymouth, Portsmouth the White. We sailed by Old Beachy, by Fairlight and Dover, and then we were up for the South Foreland Light. We'll rant and we'll roar like true British sailors. We'll rant and we'll roar all on the salt sea, until we strike soundings near the Channel of old England. From Ushant to Scilly is 35 leagues. And the order was given for the Grand Fleet to anchor, and all in the Downs that night for to lie. Let go you shank painters, let go, you can't stop us. All of you who've done it's let tacks and sheets fly. We'll rant and we'll roar like true British sailors. We'll rant and we'll roar all on the salt sea, until we strike soundings in the Channel of old England. From Ushant to Scilly is 35 leagues. So let every man drink off his full bumper. Let every man drink off his full glass. We'll drink and be jolly and we'll drown melancholy, and here's to the health of reach true heart at last. We'll rant and we'll roar like true British sailors. We'll rant and we'll roar along the Salton Sea, until we strike sand into the Channel of Old England. From Ashton to Scilly is 35 leagues. We'll rant and we'll roar like true British sailors. We'll rant and we'll roar all on the Salton Sea, until we strike sands in the Channel of Old England. From Ashton to Scilly is 35 leagues. Aye, aye. Right, here's another lovely old song. First heard a version of this sung by the great Tony Rose. In fact, this is a different version, but I particularly like this. This is Napoleon's son, Napoleon Jr. having a discussion with his mother about what he's gonna do, and fortunately he never did. Dangers of the ocean. One pleasant evening in the month of June, when the pleasant warbling songsters so charmingly their notes did tune, it was there I spied a female, all seemingly in great grief and woe, converse with young Napoleon concerning the bonny bunch of roses. Oh, then said young Napoleon, as he held his mother by the hand, oh, mother, do have patience until I'm able to command. I will raise a mighty army and through tremendous danger go, and in spite of all the universe, I'll conquer the bunny bunch of roses. Oh son, don't speak so venturesome, for in England she has a heart of oak, and there's England, Ireland and Scotland, their unity has never been broke. Oh son, think on your father, in Saint Helena his body lies low, and you will follow after. Beware of the bunny bunch of roses. And when you saw Braden Bonaparte, you fell down on your bended knee and asked your father's life of him. He granted it right manfully. I will raise a mighty army and through tremendous danger go, and I will conquer Moscow, then go to the bunny bunch of roses. Oh. took 300,000 men, and likewise kings, to join his throne. He was so well provided for, enough to take the world alone. But when he came near Moscow, all overpowered by driving snow, and Moscow was a-blazing, he lost the bunny bunch of roses. And it's farewell to you, my mother, for now I'm on my dying bed. If I'd lived, I might have been clever, but now I bow my youthful head. For while my bones do moulder, and weeping willows openly grow, are the deeds of bold Napoleon will sting the bunny bunch of roses. Love that. It's a bit epic, and indeed not without irony just at this moment. Oh, there's England, Ireland and Scotland, their unity hath ne'er been broke. Little piece of folk and roll for you, written by Dave Bell and Dick Cadbury of the band Decameron, which was a fantastic sort of contemporary folk rock band way back in the day. I kind of met most of the individual members before I even kind of knew the band, if you like. I first met Johnny Coppin on Brenda Wotton's floor in the very early 70s down in Penzance. And some party after a Piper's gig, if my memory serves me correctly. And Dick Cadbury was then also in a band based in Cornwall called Totem, who were fantastic, with Pete Berriman, great guitar player. Anyway, many years ago, there was a self-effacing rock and roll band playing in Cheltenham, which was made up of members of Decameron, and they called themselves the Teenage Idols, despite the fact they were all pushing 40. And a touch of irony, but Dave's songwriting has always had a sort of touch of irony in it anyway. The day the Lily Cochrane died, I put the news through every door, and what I knew of life and death I wasn't really sure. But as I cycled round the town, I heard rock and roll in every sound. Could have been a teenage idol, but I had my paper round, never let it get me down. All the dreams that I never found after the paper round. I know that I daydreamed a lot and invisible, and I held the dreams of winning Wimbledon, dating Tuesday Wells, take Ann Baker to the movies, would only cost me half a crown. Could have been Kirk Douglas, but I had my paper round, never let it get me down. All the dreams that I never found after Nothing I see convinces me that the world's not falling apart. And I could tell any stories that would surely break your heart. They never taught me how to tell lies. They never said I'd have to compromise just to get on without, just to get on without that paper round, never let it get me down. All the dreams that I never found after the paper round. Too old to be a paper boy, I'm too young to be a lollipop man. But I've got my shoulder to the wheel, I'm doing what I can. But as the storms hit heavy weather and slowly fell apart, if you never got the grace, if you never got the grace, if you never got the grace, you could blame that paper round, never let it get me down. All the dreams that I never found after the paper round, I never let it get me down. All the dreams that I never found after the paper round. Dave Bell and Dick Cadbury's Paper Round from the repertoire of the Teenage Idols. Thank you. This is the song that's really launched a show of hands. I think it's one of Steve Knightley's best ever songs, and this is sincerely dedicated to an awful lot of people out there who are not where they would like or indeed want to be at this time. Felt a shadow passing over me. It could stay forevermore. Like a wave I'm breaking far at sea. There's no one to hear the roar. While the days are drifting into seasons, they're the longest I have known. Million spaces in the earth to fill, but no going on. There's no going on. I could dream before the break of day that I'm back with you again. Then the morning blows it all away, leaves an echo of your name. Still 1,000 miles that lie between us, where we're waking up alone. What if I could cross 100 borders? There's no going on. There's no going on. When it thunders from the empty skies, I should be there. No one to hold you when the storm birds fly. Is no one left to care? Searched rumours with my hollow plans, when all I want is what's mine. Lost and lonely in a foreign land, left too far behind the line. I want to tear down the walls between us, but I can't do it on my own. Million spaces in the earth to fill, there's a generation waiting still. They go year after year to kill, but no going, no going, no. There's no going home. Exile. And many years ago, the drummer in the Phil Beer Band, Steve Cricket, came up with this album. He had it on tape, and none of us knew where it came from. And it's some great songs on it, some of them quite witty, but by an obscure American songwriter called Mac McNally. Turns out, as I found out more about him in later years, that he's not obscure at all, but he's a house writer in Nashville writer, writes songs for other people. But his stuff, the stuff that he records and performs himself, is pretty amazing. As I said, there's a thread of humour running through a lot of it. But we all loved this song. Paul and I learnt it, and very occasionally drag it out. But it just came back into my head. This is Mac McNally's Opinion on Love. Well, we met her in the winter in the 7th grade, and he swore that they were in love. And he held her hand by an oak tree shade, the time that was enough. And he kissed her once or twice for a moment, and he saw her 3 times a week. And it made him feel so good he could not speak. And the strength that grew between them made him weak. So he left her in the summer of his junior year, when he felt a little more secure. When the sun came out and all the legs appeared, he might love her but he couldn't be sure. So he chased the ones that were the tenders, and he took all that he could find. And I used to sit and talk to him sometimes, and I asked him once what made him change his mind. He told me, when the Mississippi sun shines down on your brother, change your opinions on love. You can try for sure, but one way or another, change your opinions on love. But he changed his mind by the very next fall. He asked her and they reconciled, and he said he didn't want to waste time at all. They married and they had a child. And he told her that he'd stay forever, and he loved her every chance he got. And he said a lot of things that he later on forgot. And he tried to make her be things she was not. When you try for one and the preacher says, brother, it'll have to be enough. Hold out for a second, 'cause anything I reckon will change your opinions on love. He was scared to leave when his love went down, but he knew that he could not stay. So he got on a job working out of town. He's putting it up that way. And he finds a little girl in Atlanta, and he loves her every chance he gets. And he says a lot of things and I hope he won't forget. And he knows a lot of things that he hasn't remembered yet. When you're sitting in the shade thinking you got it made, you swear you are in love. Hold out for a second, 'cause anything I reckon will change your opinions on love. Bible, 'cause anything is liable to change your opinions on love. Matt McNally. Well, folks, I think that's it for now. So, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for listening. Thank you to me for doing it in the first place. And remember, that 50% of any of your generous donations are going to young Master Morgan Bain and his trip to Kenya next year, where in the evenings he's going to be teaching guitar. So I'd like to thank John Hornby Skews, who are providing the 2 Vaieta guitars at cost price. And that's all really. So take it easy, folks. Season's greetings, and I'll end with this hoary old Chauvin's chestnut, which stems from 10 or 12 years ago when I was still living on Dartmoor. Take it easy, folks, and Happy New Year. I've 25 acres, enough for my needs, but it's other men's cattle I'll water and feed. One day I will pay for the life that I lead. I'm a thief from the edge of the moor. My uncle and me got it down to an art. We set off for stealing not long after dark, through the fields and the farms where it's easy to park, and the way back home is secure. One cold winter's night after Tavistock Fair, stolen sheep in the trailer and rain in the air, I felt the flat tire and I reached for the spare by the side of the A38. But the nuts on the wheel must have rusted in place, and I'm under the landy with spray in my face, and only an hour to get out of that place, cursing our bad luck and fate. For there's no transportation down under, no gallows in the old county jail. The best in the morning, we're fine weather warning. The worst in the evening, we're back out on bail. In the distance I saw a blue flashing light, 2 feet and a loud voice came out of the night, asking if everything here was alright, would we be soon on our way. Well, John said that he'd go and get help on the phone, and in the distance I'm hearing his soft urgent tones, but that copper, he wouldn't leave it alone. His light on my back number plate. But instead of the AA, John dialed 999. He said, help, we're caught at the scene of a crime, a gas station, a robbery a mile down the line. Come quickly, we're locked in the gents. Well, I heard police radio burst into life. He took the call, slammed the door and sped into the night. We worked the wheel loose and we clamped it on tight. Through the first gate all those sheep went, for there's no transportation down under, no gallows in the old county jail. The best in the morning, we're flying with the warning. The worst in the evening, we're back out on bail. So, come you West Country villains if you set out to steal. Keep your phones charged, always check your spare wheel. And if you get caught, use your wits, not your heels. Remember my uncle and me. For there's a copper who's just hopping mad. Some farmer is counting more sheep than he had. And we're in the middle of the moor at the Warren House Inn, with our pints really glad. We weren't born in 1803, but there's no transportation down under, no gallows in the old county jail. At best in the morning we're fine with the warning, the worst in the evening we're back out on bail. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, take it easy.